Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome to our Thursday Live for the Self-Reliance Festival. We are coming to you from 5 locations tonight. You'll notice we've got a bunch of cheery faces on this evening because I thought it'd be fun for y'all to meet some of the vendors who are going to be at Self-Reliance Festival and get just kind of hear what they're going to do. Of course, as always, if you have questions, you can put the word questions in all caps so I know you want me to pay attention. And if you're popping in on this, on John Willis's special operations equipment account, and you're like, hey, I'm used to seeing John walk around his factory, I get to hijack his channel every Thursday at 7 p.m. to talk about the festival. And we do it April 6th and 7th in Camden, Tennessee. If you want to know more about that, go to selfreliancefestival.com. With that, I'm going to go once around the horn. Everybody say who you are and what you're going to be doing at Self-Reliance Festival. I'm just going to go first person I see, which is you, AJ. So, AJ, who are you and what in the world are you doing?
I'm AJ Harrison. I make freeze-dried, pasture-raised chicken bone broth and beef bone broth as well. So bone broth that you would make at home, super high quality off the pasture. We just freeze-dry it and put it in these convenient single-serving packets for your consumption at your convenience.
I'd just like to point out that packet is the perfect size for one of my red insulated hollow roast mugs, just in case anybody needs to do a pairing at the festival. All right. Angela. Am I supposed to call you that or by your nickname? I don't know what to call you.
I know. So some people
call that dramatic pause was like, what am I supposed to call her?
Either way, a lot of people know me by Yoda. A lot of people know me by Angie, Angela. It just depends on who you're talking to. So we are Grumpy Acres Farm, and we freeze dry. And all of the products that we use, we try to be intentional with that. And everything is raised either on our farm or community farms. So we know how everything is grown. We know there's no antibiotics, no additional medicine, anything like that. And we try to keep everything as pure as we can, sodium low. And with that, we also pull other things off of our farm, like the sheep tallow and the lavender and all of that. And we have the comfrey salve and medicines and that kind of thing. So that's what we do.
Are you bringing the frankincense pitch or whatever?
Yeah.
That is again?
Yeah.
I'll have that, and then we'll move on.
So I do the edible frankincense and also the edible myrrh. And these are two things that help keep your body healthy, help keep you from getting sick. And one of the side issues of the frankincense, not an issue, but one of the great things of the frankincense, it actually eats cancer cells. And so there's just a lot of medicinal benefits to that. And it's 1/8 of a teaspoon every day. It'll keep you healthy. But yes, we will have plenty of that. I'm trying to make sure that I order a little bit more because we sell out every single festival.
Awesome. Yeah, I need myrrh.
Okay.
I'm out. And I need to know how much frankincense I'm supposed to be consuming. So that's a whole different thing. Okay, Keith. Keith is doing something pretty cool. So tell us what you're going to do.
Well, I can tell you what I did a couple of weeks ago. I killed my own chickens for the first time, and we made stock, and we even used the feet. So my question for AJ is that do you use the feet in your stock? Or your
don't.
Broth? Okay, I forgive you. I mean, but other than that, other than my being very wannabe homestead light, I am introducing a concept to the U.S. market that's been very popular in Canada for a while. That of bunkies, or a bunkhouse, just Canadian shorthand for bunkhouse. And basically we make an engineered link log cabin kit. Kind of like if you think of hardwood floors and engineered hardwood floors, you're like, that's not a real hardwood floor. Well, this isn't really a real log cabin. It's like an engineered log cabin, right? It's made out of spruce. You can put it together super fast. They're very affordable, and they are perfect for anybody who's trying to, live more independently, off the grid, not be an employee, and people will come from the city and want to experience what you have and give you a lot of money. And you get a great return on investment if you turn one of these into an Airbnb, which is what I've done. I've got 2 Airbnbs here on the I don't want to give away my name. Here at the Phillips Family Farmstead. Go ahead, come get me, guys. It's what it is.
They won't be able to find you because their phones don't work, dude.
That's true. That's a big problem. But the Biden bucks are rolling in soon. We're gonna have fiber. That's what I've been told.
Okay, good to know. Okay, yeah. So you're going to actually bring one of these and erect it at the festival in one afternoon.
I am hoping to actually bring at least what is this kit that I'm in right now, the bottom half of it. And I'll just try to move this camera so you can see what I'm talking about. Up to those like beams that go across there. And this, well, I'm very limited as to how far I can turn it, but going to see what I've got going on here in my Airbnb. This is the bottom part of it. And if we don't bother like putting the screws in the corners, we can have this thing up in like hour 20, hour and a half up to the second floor. Right now, what we have is like a partial kit that I imagine looking kind of like Roman ruins, where instead of like these things continuing all the way back, they kind of step down to one corners. But you can see how the windows and the doors like drop in really easy when you're building it. And we can put that up if I actually remember like what pieces go where in like 25 minutes. So it's pretty impressive to see how it goes together. What's not impressive about the kit we have now is that because it doesn't actually go all the way up and get the weight on it, it's kind of.
Uh-oh.
Oops. And that's who killed Kennedy. Okay, it looks like he had a little bit of an internet meltdown. I'm sure he'll be back on. Michael, what are you doing?
Hey, man, this is what, the fourth or fifth one we've done SRF. I think I've been to every one. So 7th, sweet. I love it.
Oh, and balloons.
Well, I'm a independent distributor for a company called AMSOIL. It's a synthetic oil manufacturer that I learned about back in 2000. And I was one of those dumb guys that said, hey, $50, you can join this company and, you can sell whatever you want to sell. I'd never been in sales before. So, I gave it a shot. My first AMSOIL check was $1.95. But that didn't stop me. I just kept going and didn't quit and built it up from there. And let's see, this is like 24 years later. Yep. 24 years later, I get to do what I want, when I want, with who I want, for however long I want. So, it kind of works if you work it. And I think a lot of people get hung up on the fact that, oh, it's one of those things that, one of those business things that nobody makes money at. So I'm here to tell you that I do. I don't know how I lucked into synthetic lubrication. The company is called AMSOIL. They've been around for 50 years. They make the best oils for cars, trucks, boats, motorcycles, ATVs, UTV, heavy equipment, small engines, you name it. So when I first got started, I didn't know that oil was like religion and politics, that, granddaddy used Quaker State. And that's why I use Quaker State. That's the only reason. But, I got past that because, when you make the best, you get to educate a customer. You get to show them why the product is the best. And then, you tend to get a customer for life. So I'm turning those people that thought Granddaddy's Quaker State was the best till, AMSOIL's the best, and I'm going to use it for the rest of my life. And so that's what I do. I'm really customer service oriented. I answer my phone. I don't know how I would do this without 21st century technology because I took
today was your day to learn that, right?
What's that?
Today was your day to learn that.
Yeah, today was my day to learn that, at the last minute. I clicked on StreamYard this morning. I'm like, well, I can't really do anything because I'm not on, so I don't know how it works. And so 15 minutes before this started, we figured it out pretty quick. So good. Yeah. So
awesome. So if people want to know how to set up a non-custodial Bitcoin wallet, can you show them how to do that too?
I do a little bit with Bitcoin. That's a kind of my little, I wouldn't say it a hobby, but it's something I'm really interested in. I've went down rabbit hole since 2008. I was thought all money was tied to gold before that. I was 38 at that time. So I don't fault anybody that thinks until they educate themselves. And went down a rabbit hole, gold, silver, beans, bullets, and bullion, right? And then I learned about Bitcoin through listening through a lot of different things. And yeah, we can show you how to set up a Bitcoin wallet, how to take Bitcoin. Being I'm not saying anti-government, but anti-government. I I didn't want them to track me how I owned my Bitcoin. So I was really hesitant for like 5 years not to be able to do KYC, like taking USD to Bitcoin. So I had the thing on my phone for like 3 years. And I finally went to a conference and the guy walks up and he says, "Hey, I'd like to buy some of your stuff. Do you take Bitcoin?" And I said, "If you show me how to do it on my phone, I'll be glad to take it." I think Bitcoin at that time was like 46 or 47,000. This was 2021. And he bought something from me. It was 35, 40 bucks or whatever. And I had my first one. I said, "Oh shit, this is too important to wait for somebody to buy something from me. I mean, I'll never get enough Bitcoin to do anything with." So I started doing KYC. And then as soon as I do KYC, I moved over to non-custodial. So.
Mm-hmm. All right. Okay. Keith, you were telling us about a kit and then your internet said nope. So
Yeah, I think
back.
somebody heard me make the Biden bucks remark, and then
Yeah, that was it.
You know.
Like,
yeah. So hopefully I will have it finished up to the top. So the four walls will be hooked together. There'll be beams across the top, and because once you do that, it's like, well, I shouldn't hit the table. It's solid, and it's impressive. Even without that, it can be pretty impressive because basically you can go a few rows down and just see what it does when you have some weight on it, and all of a sudden this thing you threw together is now quite impressive. And it's made out of spruce, so it handles the weather really, really well. They used to make boats out of spruce for a reason.
that's really cool. I'm excited to see those. Like
Gee,
when
and I
you
can't
signed
wait.
up as a vendor, I was like, maybe we need one of these on the property. So
You do need one on the property.
property. Okay, guys, what are you most excited about for Self-Reliance Festival at this point? Like, some of you have been there, some of you have not been there. We've got like an equal split here.
I think for me, it's like a family reunion. It's just great seeing everybody. And then you get to see a lot of the viewers that are watching the channel, and they come up to you and you get to learn about them, and just makes it super exciting. It's such an easy way to build community. It's absolutely fantastic. In fact, I don't feel bad, but we've had 20 new families actually move in and buy into our community. And all of them were met through SRF. So yeah.
Can you explain more about that? Is this a good time to talk about it?
Yeah.
I'm intrigued.
Yes.
Yeah. So
Tell me more.
what we have in the community, what we do, everybody is like-minded, but we believe in sovereignty. And when we started, there was 5 of us, and we were all sitting down, and we had a meeting because we needed to figure out rules and guidelines and all of that. Well, 4 hours later, we needed another meeting. So essentially how that came down, we all figured out there's a way of supporting each other and help building each other up by everybody owning their own property. And we did that. And so we put that together. Basically, we're influencing local politics. We are helping grow for each other. So if we have one that's a pig farmer, someone else who's turkey and chickens, someone else who is cattle, milk cows, you name it, somebody has it here. And so it's super easy. We just barter back and forth. We make a bartering system. In fact, the large freeze dryer, one of the large freeze dryers that I have going right now, I'm just being a private chef for somebody in the community who's building their homestead. So it's super easy for me to put these meals together. They throw them in the freezer. While they're showering, they're heating everything up, and voila, dinner is done. And so it just makes their life a little bit simple. So we're building each other up, encouraging each other, and doing all of that. And we'll be talking about that, because if it wasn't for the community that we started to build, we would not be here. We completely, I'm not going to say completely, but well, yeah, no, I am. We gave up life as we know it. And so we will be talking about that at SRF. So I don't, Nicole, you probably don't want me to go into details on that.
Oh, you can. I mean, get people excited about your talk. She's going to talk about how they opted out of the system, and you guys have a great community up there. We always talk about like, how do we make the counter economy? I'm like, we are the counter economy. That's like, you literally do it by doing business with each other. That's why I get stickers for Hollow Roast Coffee from the Homestead Twins. Mm-hmm. Does it cost more? Yes.
Yeah.
Is that okay? Yes.
Yeah, it's important to support each other. And it's a hard decision to make. And, my husband worked for the government. I was a successful real estate agent. We were making hand over fist and doing very, very well. We had an established homestead. We're just getting ready to pull the cattle in. And the government said, if you want your job, you're going to have to take the jab. And so my husband spent many years in the Marine Corps, graduated from Wentworth Military School. And he came home and he had tears in his eyes. And I saw how very upset he was. And we had a conversation. And I said, you know what? I'm going to support you 100%. You make the decision. What do we do? So we pulled the plug and sold everything. And then in order, we took that cash and bought an old, dilapidated, not worked homestead that hadn't been worked in over 20 years. So now we're fighting Johnson grass. We're fighting moldy wood. We're fighting floors caving in. We're fighting all of this stuff. And yeah, it's tough. And we fought a lot. But the thing is, you have to make that decision, and you've got to decide what you're going to do. And then you need the community that's going to support you and say, hey, everything's okay. Take a deep breath. And for me, Tag over at Life Done Free, you ask him, there were many times that he just gave me a shoulder and I cried. And you just have to figure out if you're going to stick through it. And then you find alternative income and you figure it out, and you figure out how you're going to grab your life back and not have to rely on what somebody else is going to give you. So we turned in our retirement, we cashed everything in and started all over. And now we realize that this is the last house we can do. We're just getting too old. We can't do it. So this has to work. It has to work. Either that or we go back to slavery. And neither of us want to do that.
Throw your hat over the fence.
Do what?
Throw your hat over the fence.
Yeah.
That's how you learn to climb a fence.
Yeah. Yeah. You just have to keep trucking along. And now we're getting it. Our community has gotten much bigger. We even found community inside of the community. And so we had a neighbor that now is they're very good friends of ours. And we actually train with them. My husband does once in a while. And it was really funny when we first saw them, we were like, holy crap, because they were out doing tactical. And so we saw them raiding a house, they practice clearing and all of that for very good reason. And we were like, we have a problem. And so what happens if SHTF comes and they know who we are and what we do, and they're going to come take all of our stuff? Well, what we did is we merged those communities. We got everybody together, and now we play really well with each other. So they need medicinal, and I take care of the medicinal. They need, whatever, freeze drying and that kind of thing. I do that for them, and we barter back and forth with that. And so that neighbor is coming over. He's scraping some land for us and tilling it up because, yes, the farm is that bad. We're going to have to restart. And so he's coming and doing all of that for us. And it's just, I made 2 gallons of colloidal silver for him, just last week. And, the bottles that I used, they bought more and made sure that we had that replaced. So that's the way to do it. You just have to see the needs of somebody else in the community and blend them together and figure that out. Everybody's got something that you don't have. And if you want to use it, you need to figure out how to get along with each other. Right.
Yep.
How many acres people have there, like per farm?
It ranges anywhere from, I think I know some that have 5 acres that we're looking for 5, 40 acres, 500 acres. I mean, it just depends. So everybody's a little bit different. We have century farms here. So there's people that have been farming, for their entire life because dad was doing it, grandpa was doing it, great grandpa was doing it. And so it's really funny because my neighbor's wife, her and I, we were going over the abstract title. And so these lands, they're so old and have been in the farm so long that we actually have abstract titles. So those are books that show how much the property originally sold for, how it was split up and all of that. Our property was originally 268 acres and was originally sold by Delaware Indians. And so it's just kind of interesting and fun to do that. So we still have a lot of the history here.
Yep. Okay. I got to ask you something, Mr. Sparks.
Yes.
How come you don't censor yourself on Facebook? How come you just say whatever you want?
Why?
That's what I'm
Yeah.
asking you. Why?
I don't know. I have a low filter. My filter's always been pretty low. I don't give a shit. And I think that's what attracts people. Because I think the people that don't care, they probably don't follow me or they unfollow me or whatever. So I just, a lot of times I do censor myself because I wake up at like 4:00 in the morning. I'm like, oh, I probably shouldn't have posted that. Let me delete that. And like 7 people saw it between 11 p.m. and like, 6:30 a.m. So, is it that bad?
I don't know. Have you been put in timeout yet by Facebook?
Not really recently. I mean, not really since most of the jabby jab. I did post something yesterday about the Julian Assange thing, and I said, fuck the government. Oh, I'm sorry. Heck with the government and the CIA or whatever. And I went to delete it this morning, and it wasn't there. So I guess Facebook decided that was not appropriate or whatever. So, but I don't know.
Good.
Some people get a kick out of it. I tell you what, I get people that meet me in town and even like, uppity people. And they're like, man, I just love your stuff on Facebook. I wish I could say that. I'm like, you can, but it is what it is.
Not everybody will.
Well, when I was in the military, they called me the wild card because they never know what was going to come out of my mouth, So I was over 20 years. I did, so I was in for over 20 years. I did 8 years active, the rest of the National Guard Reserve. So once I got over 20, I'm like, what are you going to do? Tell me to stay home? So I'd say stuff and, like this is some stupid bullshit. Why are we doing this? And, if you're if you can get kicked out or whatever, you just probably don't say that. I just tell them like it is. This is stupid bullshit. I saw one the other day. They were marching in the rain. The Navy band was marching something. And I said, yeah, that's why I don't miss it at all. Some stupid ass 06 for some, EER or OER is probably making these idiots run around in the rain. I'll never forget. We did a change of command at Fort Campbell in the port, and it was thundering and literally lightning all around the thing. And you're talking 10,000 troops with bayonets. One strike of lightning could have killed like 10,000 people at one time because it would just zzz. And like, this person's an idiot. You are a fucking idiot. If you are, don't call it, we're not here to die for a change of command, So yeah, it's been that way since, for a long time.
That was the best question I could ask.
82nd Airborne Division Review.
There you go.
82nd Airborne Division Review.
I was at the 101st Division Review, and it was the change of command after Desert Storm. And Benford P was changing over. I don't remember who took over after that. And it was like, oh, this is so grand because we went to the, the little fake war that we started before the real war happened, to get them all buttered up, I guess. But I was just pissed after that. Just what the hell? So.
Yeah, so
I
now
couldn't get over how
you
it
are being
started at
accused
10:30,
of
but
being
you had to
the
be there at 4.
SRF Fed, but we all know that it's Austin. I'm sorry, Keith. I talked over you.
No, it's okay. I'll just say, I'm just commiserating with my fellow veteran here about
Thank you.
showing
Thank
up at 3:30 in the morning for something that starts at 10:30 in the morning.
Hurry up and wait.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, so it was interesting when I joined, this is 1988, y'all, Nicole's probably pretty close. I don't know about the rest of you guys. But, I said, Mom, this is 88 in Ohio. All the steel mills are gone. There's no blue collar jobs anywhere to be found. I barely graduated high school, not because I'm stupid, because I really honestly didn't give a shit back then. And so I said, okay, I can join the Army. That'd be great. I played the saxophone. So I said, Mom, I joined the band. And she says, no, you're going to go to war and die. And it's like, no, I joined the band. Come on, I'm going to play music, right? And little did I know that the band goes to war. They never told me that crap. Probably would never join. But 8 months later, after basic training, I'm going to Desert Storm, and I'm like, this really sucks. These people, this is not fun at all. And of course, my problem with my life is I never know when to quit. I don't know when to say no. I just keep struggling through, and until my life is miserable. So I guess if I were to tell anybody, it's like sometimes you just got to know when to fold them and know when to hold them. And I just keep holding them too long, I think. So,
yeah. Okay, AJ, how many businesses have you started before your freeze-dried bone broth business?
I don't know, like 70.
Yeah.
I'm the habitual, like I knew early on that I didn't have the ability to focus on, and work for somebody else. And I my first job was actually working for my dad. My first real job was at a tire store called Les Schwab Tires. And he's the manager, and I was expected to be the best person, always there early, always there late. Don't take a lunch if you don't have to. And so I had that instilled in me, and I just knew that I didn't want to go just run a job for somebody. And I sure wasn't going to college. I have a GED, and it's one of those deals where they say, the difference between the guy who makes it and the guy who doesn't is he tried the next thing. And I've been self-employed for about 14 years, done everything from casting bullets to had a construction company. Currently, I own a catering company that we bought in March of 2020 during the Great Shutdown for pennies on the dollar. And yes, the shutdown. And so we self-employed already. And we bought this catering company. The gal that owned it was moving, and literally pennies on the dollars, everything to start in Elise Kitchen. And I've always loved to cook. I did some catering and stuff before then. And so it was just a natural thing. And my wife has just always, since we got married, just been like, whatever you're doing, I'm doing. You're going to take care of things. And if you're doing this, I'm right behind you and right beside you, which is great. Took me twice to find the one that would do that. So I'm keeping this one. And I've always loved to cook. So catering was a great fit. And I was just looking for what's the thing that I can do that can make money while I'm sleeping, because catering, I'm making money when we're there. We do some freezer meals and stuff like that, but I've got to be there and be present. And so I went to, what was that thing that I met you at in March?
Exit and Build.
Exit and Build. I went to Exit and Build just specifically to meet Curtis Stone, Jack Spirko, and Nicole Sauce. And that's why I went, and I bought the VIP ticket for that. And I just was looking for that sense of community. And I've really started to find that in the community. And that's the drive for going to SRF. But at Exit and Build, I was in a small group of people that Nicole and one other gentleman were leading about building business and building revenue on your farm stand. And we already had a freeze dryer, and we're already doing that. And the one gentleman, I can't remember his name, Nicole, but he runs cows and does pastured chicken, and was talking about how he's got all these chicken backs from when they do parts and pieces. And if he could find somebody to buy that, he would almost give it away. And that was what turned into AJ's going to make bone broth and freeze dry it. And so I partnered with, I'm not actually using my chickens. I'm partnered with a guy about 10 miles away. They do regenerative pasture work, and they process 600 to 800 chickens a week from April till November. And so we're partnering with him and doing a value add for a product that he's, either going to turn into dog food or be waste. And we're turning into something that can heal people's guts and, just really improve people's life. And I can have some sort of e-commerce store that doesn't require me to be physically working right then.
AJ, that's how you build community. You start right there. You did it. You have a section of community.
Yep.
How many of you guys actually grew up in the country?
I
Like
sort
farming.
of did, like in the suburban rural fringe. So we had 5 acres, but we were yuppies.
I grew up on 90
Yeah,
acres in
swimming
Ohio.
pool.
My dad was in the Navy, so I grew up a Navy brat. So we were constantly in the city. And in fact, from the time that I was 8 years old until I met G and married him and moved away, I was in San Diego. So we were base housing in Coronado. And so I grew up with a bunch of stupid rich people with money they could just throw away, and spent many years in Tijuana partying. So yeah, no, this is a culture shock for it was a culture shock for me, but now I love it. And if I go back to the city, I'm almost in a panic.
Do you feel like when you went to the country, like it was the first time you found that certain kind of community? I was like in the military, and Michael could speak to this, and Tactical could speak to this, but like, you know, there is community, right? I mean, there's a mission, there's an enemy, there's like, you know, the enemy is first sergeant perhaps, or sergeant major. But like there's trauma bonding, there's a tribe, right?
Mhm.
But like growing up myself, like in the suburbs, I always wanted to be in the country, didn't get to do it until I became an adult, and I was like, I'm going to the country now. But it was like had greater distance between me and my neighbors than ever before, and I was closer to my neighbors than ever before.
So for us, it was a little bit different, just for the simple fact that I grew up in the military. And then, you know, my dad always said a military wife is bred, not made. So you can't just marry anybody and think they're going to be a military wife. And so when my husband plucked me from, you know, 18-year-old, and when he got me, it was one of those things that he let me know very clearly. He was Marine Corps. And I was actually given a book on how to be a Marine wife. And it was a guide on what I had to do, what my responsibilities were, and all of that. And because of my husband's position, everybody that was underneath him at a lower rank, it was my job to take care of them. So I was constantly cooking for them, having them come over, making sure that there was a family, there was support. I would have some wives showing up in the middle of the night. My husband just threw me down the stairs and beat the crap out of me. What am I going to do? Because Marine Corps is very different. So in the Marine Corps, there are things that you take to the higher up, and there are things that you keep quiet. And so you handle that internally. And so the wives that knew that, that's why I had to deal with that. So I would say I had community. And my dad at the time when he was in the Navy, a deployment was 9 months out of 12. And my dad was sea duty, so he was gone all the time. And so we had the community in there, whether good or bad. Base housing, I hate base housing. It just totally sucks. And so, but whether a good or bad community, it was still a community. The kids ran together, got in trouble together, all of that stuff. So I don't know. I think the community here it's different, but I think we're just as strong as what we were in the Marine Corps. And so I don't know how to answer that.
I can give you a perspective here. So 17 years ago, I left Nashville, Tennessee. I had lived in Portland, Oregon before that. So I'd been city from the time I left home to 17 years ago. Moved out here, and I thought I would never see a soul again. I thought it's so isolated. I'm not going to see anybody. I was actually a little freaked out about being alone. And the first half hour I was here, a neighbor walked over and introduced themselves, and I ended up having a much stronger community here within weeks over in the city, even though in the city I made the effort to know my neighbors even then, because I thought it was important. You know, like if your house burns down in the middle of the night and you knock on somebody's door in your PJs, like be helpful if they know who you are and know that's not your normal MO and don't think you're a crazy person because you might need help, right? So I guess I was always a prepper and didn't know it. But I do think in the country, because we need each other more, we're more inclined to be friendly. But we're also more inclined to be suspicious of the people who don't belong. Because there's also there's that, like, you know, when people drive by.
Yeah.
You've already got a bead drawn on them?
Yeah.
Great. That guy's driving 45 miles an hour down this dirt road. What the hell? He's not from here. And then you got to eyeball that car. And then we have others that try to come into the community and, you know, they'll set up. And then very quickly, once they're here, you realize, oh, wait, those maybe are not people we want in our community. The red flags start going. And so you have to kind of watch that a little bit. So, yeah, we do. We're a little more suspicious, I guess. Isn't that weird? We're more suspicious in the country than what we were in the city. I think we were just so used to the city. So, wow.
Well, there's like suspicion, and then there's like, you know, I'm suspicious of you, but at the same time, I'm opening up the gateway to engage in you in a real way, because I'm like, hey, what are you doing here? Are you lost? Oh, you really are lost. Yeah, let me help you out. You know,
when we first moved in here, it was really interesting because, of course, other members of our community had talked to this other community that we're talking about. And that other community, immediately the neighbor shows up at our door and he's knocking on the door and he said, hey, he said, I know what you do and I've seen your videos. And he said, we've got 120 chickens that we need to butcher. Will you come teach us how to can it? And I was literally one female in with gosh, there had been 21 cowboys, ranchers, and rodeo stars teaching them how to can. And then we were going through all of their canners. They had canners from grandma and all of that, and trying to prepare and get all of that ready to go. And so that did build, that was one of the merges with the other community. So yeah, I could see that. That was, we do need each other. Everybody's got skill. And that's the thing, you've got to have skill in order to build community. If you have no skills, you're useless.
I don't like your tone.
Come in with an open mind and you can learn.
It's like that harsh.
I guess that is a skill, though. A skill to be able.
I felt like you were talking to me.
No. So
my chicken evisceration is painfully slow.
That's okay.
There's just
it gets faster over time.
You don't want somebody to come in and say, I want to be part of your community. I want to work hard. I want to learn how to homestead, and then fuck something up the first day that they're offered work from somebody else. And so it's like, what the hell? What do you really want? And then you get the perspective from both parties and you're like, holy shit. Well, this is the person that I've known longer and I'm hearing his story. I'm sorry. I'm getting on my soapbox. I'm pissed and I need to talk to somebody. So I'll just cut that there.
And
it got real.
Yeah.
You hit
a tender spot there, Keith. Okay, how in the world did you find out about Self-Reliance Festival and end up on this live stream?
Still trying to figure that out. Google, man. It's crazy things happen when you surf the internet.
Yeah.
No, I'd be like,
Google.
So I've been waiting to pick this book up, and I don't know if is it showing it right side or backwards?
It's
right
showing
side.
It up, right.
Okay, you guys know who this is, right?
I don't.
You don't know who Wendell Berry is? Guys, just start Googling wherever you are right now. If you haven't read Wendell Berry, you have to read Wendell Berry. He's an agrarian. He's a writer. He is basically like him and Jesus, like they're close, right? Wendell Berry's awesome. And he talks about a thing in his books. His books are mostly based, his fiction books are like character sketches of like entire lives, or at least large portions of lives of these fictional characters in this one little town that is based on the little town in Kentucky that he grew up in. And he talks about a thing called the membership, and everybody belongs to the membership, like whether you want to be or not. And so like whoever it was that really made Angela mad is in the membership. And the anger, the ire of some of the membership is going to be on that member for whatever they did. But then, it all kind of comes around. Sometimes it's tough love, whatever. And that's what's missing. That's why I think, have you guys ever read or heard of the book Tribe by Sebastian Junger?
I've heard of the book, but I haven't read it.
Right. Same here.
It's really good in terms, I think, the guy puts his finger on a lot of problems in modern society, and he looks at it mainly through the lens of U.S. veterans, and maybe more broadly Western veterans, and how it is that people seem the most alive and psychologically thriving and emotionally thriving when they're in crisis. And he looks at other situations too. Like he looked at the siege of Sarajevo. It was the first thing he covered as a war correspondent. And the people that he came back to visit later would talk about missing the days of the siege of Sarajevo when they had nothing to do but sit around the fire where they were burning their own furniture and play cards. But they were relying on each other. There was a sincere sort of membership. And it's like, if you grow up in the modern world where everything is so fragmented, you just think it's normal and you don't have anything to anything lofty to fall from. If you're in the military and then you get out, you fall out of that thing. And, probably having, going active duty and then going guard and having some time to make it an easy landing is good. For me, when I got off active duty, I was never like the Army guy who was like, I love the Army. I had my friends were over at church or whatever, and that was more my group. But it was actually a big deal to deal with. And I think if you just sort of go back to this pre-World War II for the most part, which Wendell Berry talks about, he saw it and he saw its demise. And he saw its demise at the hands of economic forces and governmental forces that accelerated those economic forces and so forth. They just disintegrated communities and disintegrated families. And instead of people being pulled together by work, now they're pulled apart by work because they go over to do this specialized thing here, this specialized thing here, and the father's no longer in the home and the mother's no longer in the home, and the kids are in this grade and this grade and this grade. Instead of together working towards something, everything is pulling it all apart. And only the people in the military, for the most part, have had the experience of something different. And so it's just very interesting, and you should all read Wendell Berry. It will change your life, and the hardships you endure trying to live more independently, sustainably, whatever, start to have a bit of philosophical and theological underpinnings that gives you the like the fortitude and the reason to continue, because it's right, it's good, it's true, it's beautiful.
And I almost wish I would have had that when we started doing this project.
Yeah. It is not a small amount of work to get a homestead or a farm up and running. Hey, we got a question here. I'm here a few minutes late. Can you please explain what SRF is? Who wants to take that one? I can explain it, but I explain it a lot. So I figured like one of y'all should do it.
I've never been, so I'm out.
Oh my goodness. Okay. So SRF is, like I said before, it's like a family reunion. And if you've never been there before and you come in, don't worry. Don't be hesitant. It's really funny because I see every single time those people that always say they're introverts, they're really extroverts. Everybody just gets along. They talk. They're learning from each other. They're sharing with each other their experiences. Everybody, they're on the same path to get to that goal. And so it makes it nice with the different stories, experiences, and all of that everybody can do that. I feel very comfortable. We even camp. So when we go, we camp on the compound, and that's what I really find. So I would suggest this. If you come, grab a tent, your camping gear, and all of that, and you want to camp out and you want to get around that fire pit. So you get around that bonfire and everybody starts talking to each other and everybody starts sharing with each other and learning about each other. You build bonds. And in fact, we have another family who we met at the last SRF. They're actually coming out here. They'll be here, I think at the beginning of either the end of this month or the beginning of March. And the entire community will always either go do breakfast or dinner or whatever. We have a wonderful cafe here, 1886. She opens up the restaurant privately just to us, and then she cooks for us. And, we get to do that. So you'll meet a lot of these people. We've even had people come and show up in the community, and they're like, holy cow, we'll be at dinner. And they're like, wait, I met you at SRF. And they had no idea we were in this location. And so that's how you build. So if you're looking to build community and you want to figure out how to build community, SRF, you need to go to Self-Reliance Festival.
Do vendors get to go to the restaurant too?
Vendors, huh? No, this is here. This is at home.
Oh.
So
Okay. Sorry, I thought we were SRF still. I was like,
Festival.com.
yes.
There are restaurants. There is a gas station at the entrance to the SOE compound where the Self-Reliance Festival is, and they serve food. And so people are like,
That's
"Ew,
good.
gas station food." It's like, no, actually the owner's a chef. And he rolls sushi on the weekends. Like you can get gas station sushi and it's edible at like Amanda and John will eat the gas station sushi. So
Michael, how do you feel about gas station sushi or sushi in general?
Well, I teach you in the Army, if it don't fall through your fingers, it's edible. So yeah, I'd eat it.
And even if it does, I mean, it might still be.
You might throw up for a day or two. You'll be fine.
Yeah, but I'm also
15-second
gonna say that there's going to be 2 other vendors.
awesome vendors doing food. One of them is here.
And so I'll be cooking. Chef Brett will be next to me. He will be cooking. And so you guys will get farm fresh food cooked responsibly without gluten and MSG and all that garbage in there.
How many people were there like last year?
500.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
But
I
not
don't-
so
I don't
many
know
that
if-
you can't meet just about everybody. I mean, if you walk around
The time.
and you get a little time with, you see somebody you talk to or whatever, you hear them talking about a conversation, you kind of weed your way in there. You get to meet a lot more people than you think. Like 500 seems like a lot, but it really doesn't.
But the way
Yeah.
it's laid out, we've got 2 tents separate from each other where there are presentations, there's vendor row, there's all sorts of stuff. So there's space, there's a campground. And so it never really feels like there's 500 of us crammed in front of a stage. It's a little more casual than that.
Yeah.
Like I'm not, as the person who runs it, I am not worried at all if somebody comes and does not attend one session the whole time. That's fine.
Mhm.
Because the purpose of the event is to catalyze relationships and communities and a counter economy for people to get to know each other. And yeah, we learn from the speakers. We learn how to homestead. We learn how to be better prepared. We learn about how to be self-reliant. But one big way to be self-reliant is to have trusting relationships with people so that you could work together on things.
Aren't everything recorded and available after the fact as well?
Yeah, so we have digital passes. Those will launch in March. And we record. The only time we don't record is if a speaker does not want us to, which because we had a speaker get offended once because we were selling the digital recordings and it was their intellectual property. So now I'm like, here's the waiver.
Give me $5.
Well, this is what we're going to do, right? And if you're not okay with that, we won't record you. That's fine. But they can also take their recording and use it however they want when we do it. So, which is a little
cool
different than
skills
most
can I learn?
places.
What
I'm
cool
sorry?
skills can I learn?
You can learn how to mill. We're going to have an Alaskan chainsaw mill there. So that's going to be. Yeah, I know. Isn't that going to be cool? We
That's
got a
gonna be way
guy
cool.
showing you how to distill alcohol so you can make tinctures or anything else.
Also
you can
important.
make with that product. Very important. We've
And
got.
if you're in Middle Tennessee, he's going to do a class this Sunday in Dixon. So,
It's a different guy than that guy, but
different guy. Okay.
different guy.
We'll get
Although
to
I
learn
would
it.
love to have Chris back to do something at the festival. I don't know if we're going to have the biochar making demonstration or not. I haven't talked to Bruce. We've got Defense Dogs there with Joel Riles. So he does anything from training to showing. We've got Evan Dixon. He's got ham radio equipment.
He's also providing the internet.
And also providing the internet for vendors. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
that's pretty cool. We got Sam is coming back from Slave to Servant to play music. Yeah, you can just learn all sorts of stuff. And then I just talked to Alan Booker about his presentation. And I actually have to go into my email to get the proper title. Where is it? I'm pretty excited about this one. So he gave me 2. It's How Resilient is Your Kitchen? Now, if you don't know who Alan Booker is, that's fine. He is a fairly well-known permaculturist within the network of people who teach people about permaculture, right? Like, so regenerative farming, regenerative agriculture, that sort of thing. And he has taken that and applied it to how you organize a kitchen on a regenerative farm. And he has this method of assessing how resilient your kitchen is from, like your herbs and spices. Like, are they regenerating from your land? And do you have a process in your kitchen to get those into the food system and that sort of thing? He's in the middle of writing a book on regenerative cooking anyway. So when he gave me that option versus he also wanted to talk about some, I might actually ask him to do this as a webinar this year too, but he wanted to also maybe talk about the importance of genetic capital as far as saving your seeds. I feel like that's a better fall topic.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It just depends because you have so many different areas. Like we were in a drought last year, a severe one, and that severe drought made a lot of my stuff like basil and all of that really bolt. And so I didn't have a choice. I feel like last year I was seed saving almost.
Yeah, I guess you are. But we also, because Grumpy Acres is not doing food preservation this time. They've done it twice.
Mm-hmm.
That's our only food thing for the thing. And I was like, I think like the way that he approaches kitchens and cooking from a permaculture perspective is so different that it's gonna like blow some minds. And that's something that happens. So people move out to the country, they get on their homestead, they raise chickens, they go, oh crap, I have to kill this chicken. How do I kill this chicken and process it? Okay, now how do I cook this chicken? And people have never cooked chicken
I know.
in that way. You know what I mean? Like,
chicken.
they've had like boneless, skinless breasts, and they're like, now what do I do? It's like this whole thing and those bones in there. And we can make fun of it. We should show people how to cook with the food they have. Like, okay, I have 17 different kinds of zucchini. Now what do I do? Like in the height of July, you know what I mean? Like all the things you can do with zucchini.
Zucchini. So can the zucchini in pineapple juice. I kid you not. Like sweet pineapple pickles. It's not mushy or anything. Nate was just telling me about it. Yeah. Absolutely wonderful.
Zucchini.
But yeah. But that's not what I meant. What I meant was, I don't know if that only has to be a fall thing. I think it's like all year. I think if you can get people in the spring and they can identify, which I'm sure he will show them, this is what it looks like when it's coming to seed, and then they can save their stuff. Because I mean, we saw a time, let's face it, what was it, 2 years ago, that seeds were slim. And right now I've got people searching everywhere for English cucumbers. We were just going through a bunch of seeds to see if I had any that I could share.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but yeah, so, when there's a shortage on seed, you're kind of screwed. You better figure out how to keep that going. And
well, that's true. Like saving seed is on a cycle based on when the plant produces the seed, which is all growth season.
Yeah. And let's just face it, the government's screwing with our skies, and we're seeing all kinds of different things here. And they start messing with that stuff. It changes everything.
And for us Northerners, October's after everything's already dead anyway. So
yeah,
it might be good to have it in the spring.
I think Homestead Twins were saying something like they can't even start growing until after Memorial Day.
We can't put anything in the ground here unsheltered until the weekend after Memorial Day.
Yeah, crazy.
Where are you, AJ?
Montana.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, just south of Missoula.
Yep. Okay, guys. Well, we're coming on towards the end of the hour, so let's go once around and say whatever you want to say. And I look forward to meeting all of you in person. Well, I know some of you in person, but meeting one new person in person at Self-Reliance Festival. I actually have met the other three. So yeah, it's kind of fun to figure out where to point.
It is.
That way.
What
All
time
right.
are you?
It's like flying a remote control plane. It's coming at you.
Oh, you just did the thing.
How did I do that?
We don't
Who
know.
did
It
that?
just happens every so often. You do this and you get like a thumbs up.
Or like the 7 earlier.
Ooh, you got it.
I got it. Yeah, I got the balloons
Ooh,
earlier.
it did it.
Hey, look at that! Wow.
Okay,
That
so
was epic.
so we don't know where this feature came from, but ever since it came, I can't like get it to happen intentionally, but like tonight it's working.
Interesting.
Mine doesn't
It was
do
the Biden bucks.
We melt down into a random thing where we make.
Little-
Jack was doing one like this that made. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
You have your own rave over there.
And because I talk with my hands, like I just inadvertently do it all the time. So, okay. So back to the show. Yeah,
Wait, I got one more question real quick first. What time are you going to start? What time are you going to start building on Friday? Are you building on Friday or building on Saturday?
Keep.
Whatever you want me to do.
You're building on
I
Friday.
could probably do it both days.
Yeah. Oh, that might
Build
not
on
be,
Friday
that
and
would
tear
be
down
good.
and build on Saturday.
Yeah.
Okay, what time are you going to start?
I'm
on
hoping
Friday?
I get the full kit. If I don't get the full kit, it's not going to be as impressive, but it'll still be kind of like get the point, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'll get the point across regardless.
What time on
Uh,
Friday? We're going to try to figure out our drive around that. G and I really want to see it.
Literally tell me when I need to do it.
No,
If it's not the full kit, it's going to take me 30 minutes. If it is the full kit,
Oh,
it's going to
really?
take an hour.
Okay, so if we
Afternoon.
left,
So,
if we left earlier in the morning, if we could get out of here by 3 a.m., we should be out there with stops and everything by 4-ish.
4:35 sounds good to me. 4:30 or 5.
Nicole, I don't mean to like step on your toes, but
He
I'd really
can
like-
build it whenever he
Who
wants.
made you in charge?
He's a vendor, and vendor setup is between certain hours, and I think that is in those hours. If he
Perfect.
gets, I think it's, yeah. Or you could just come down for an extra day, Yoda.
Yeah, I could, but I have farm sitters, so I have to think of their school schedule and mom and dad and all that stuff. So
Okay, let's go once around the horn. Let's start with you, Michael. What do you got for us?
Hey, I'm Michael Sparks. I live in Middle Tennessee. I do a little bit of this, a little bit of that. My primary business is I sell synthetic lubricants to help people take better care of their equipment, which is anything from their cars to their generators to their chainsaws. We actually did a chainsaw class over at SOE Tactical Gear with Chris Watkins. And, you know, we did a lot of good demonstrations and stuff like that, helping people understand lubrication. So that's my main gig, but I do a lot of other things. I know a little bit of this, a little bit of that. And I like the community. I like the aspect that everybody is here to help each other. And I really love Self-Reliance Festival. It's a bonus. It's like an hour from my house. So I have no excuse not to come, actually. But, you know, it's a great and fun event. And every once in a while, I get to hear some people speak when I'm not at my table, you know, helping people.
Awesome. Yeah. So Michael's been with us from the very beginning. And I think the first one, I'm not sure what made him decide to come. He was probably a little hesitant, but he came anyway. And then ever since then, he's been back. I remember you were like so stoked after the first one. You're like, this is great. These people are great. So
They're my people. They're my people. Yes, yes. So I bought 30 acres. You were talking about getting out of the cities and all that. We went and picked up some stuff. We had a friend that's leaving Tennessee. She's going to live in Central America. What's that town? What's that island where everybody scuba dives at? In Honduras. But anyhow, so she's selling all her stuff, and my wife is driving in. She says the main road is so busy. Her backyard, she's got a great pool, but it's looking at all the traffic. This is terrible. And I'm like, yeah, you know, our pool's in the middle of 30 acres. So I don't wear clothes 99% of the time. I have not yet had the UPS man come up, but I do try to stay prepared with, you know, a towel and some other stuff. But you can't beat living in the country.
That's prepping.
That's prepping at its finest right there. Have
That
a
is
towel
prepping
nearby
at its
when you're
finest.
skinny
Yes, the pool.
Always have a towel.
So look
Grumpy
forward
would
to seeing
say
everybody.
Grumpy would say there's nothing better than going and shut the chickens up in your underwear and not even caring.
All right, Keith, how about you? What do you got for us?
Well, yeah, come see us at Self-Reliance Festival. Check out Bunky Life Heartland on Instagram or Facebook or YouTube. We got a gazillion followers now on Instagram. It kind of went crazy, and Facebook's done good too. And YouTube is just pathetic. So go there and check us out on YouTube. We're gonna do some longer form stuff that'll be entertaining here shortly that I've already made. Just kind of waiting to launch it. But our whole concept is having extra space that you can put up together. You can have that work that brings you together as family and friends. Do it quickly and affordably without a contractor or a second mortgage. And whether it's for a cannery or a pottery barn or an Airbnb for some extra farm stay income or whatever, they're pretty good thing. Not really a tiny house, but it's more of like the occasional use dwelling that you don't want to tie up your life savings all the time for something you don't use all the time.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah. Come check us out. Look at our stuff. Say hi.
Cool. Yeah. Okay.
And I might make coffee. We talked about that, Nicole.
Yeah.
And when I was thinking about getting some hollow roast and producing coffee, I've got an espresso machine and we'll just sit there and make coffee in order to bribe people to come talk to us at the cabin. And, but there's 500 of them. So I don't know. We can
Well,
handle
we'll have
the
coffee
demand.
too. Don't worry. There's coffee. I have my big urns of coffee, and I'm sure you could make espresso with my coffee too. So I can give you a few pounds to see how that goes. Awesome. Do you have a grinder, or do you need it ground?
It comes with it's integrated with the espresso machine. Yeah.
Okay. Perfect. Angela.
Does that?
Angela, what do you have for us, Angela?
All right. Well, I'm Angela, or some as you know it, Yoda, with Grumpy Acres Farm. And man, I think just to sum it up, you guys get out there, make sure you come talk to us, make sure you come and eat our food too, and then get plenty of freeze-dried food. We've got goals around here. We got things we need to accomplish. We need some of that money. So bring that on over. You won't be disappointed. And man, yeah, just guys, always make sure you're working on building community. And with that said, I just want to let you guys know what we say around here all the time is learn now. Thank God that you're not starving. Also, be at least 1% better to tomorrow than you were today. And until next time, go live a life free. We'll see you later. Thanks for having me, Nicole.
Sure. Yeah. AJ.
All right. I'm AJ Harrison. Before I get into that, one thing that I'm always telling everybody is I joined the volunteer fire department in my community when I was 14. I've been at it for 20 plus years now. That's an instant community, but it's also an instant community of people that work together in stressful situations. Mm-hmm. And so 85% of the country is volunteer. And that's a pretty easy way to, if you're trying to build community locally and you don't know where to start, great way to do it. Typically they're good guys. They're always wanting to help people out anyway. So my name's AJ Harrison. I have a podcast called Preparing for Prosperity, the number 4. And it's a lifestyle podcast talking about, we've got a blended family. So my wife and 2 stepsons, plus myself and my son, and then our rainbow child, that not rainbow like nowadays rainbow, but our together child after one that had a genetic disorder and passed away when she was first born. So it's all about what we've got going on. I talk about freeze dryers typically on Wednesday and what we've got going on there. Kind of an intro to freeze drying thing. I'm on anywhere on social media. If you just type in preparing for prosperity, it's AJ Harrison on YouTube. And I have a website. It's ajharrison.co, C-O, no M on there. Because .com wasn't available. And that directs to my podcast website. And there's a information tab. If you're interested in the bone broth that we're making, fill out the information deal, subscribe to our newsletter on there, and we can get you some information. We're currently building an FDA and USDA certified kitchen for the production of the bone broth. And so I'm stacking up a little bit of content with that I'm getting ready to release. Full commercial kitchen, all stainless steel, pretty big deal. So that's where you can find me. And you can also find me at Self-Reliance Festival.
All right. I'm Nicole Sauce from the Living Free in Tennessee podcast, and I put together the Self-Reliance Festival with John Willis from Special Operations Equipment. And somebody asked if there is a website. The website is selfreliancefestival.com, and you can see who will be speaking there. Some people are pretty excited about Angry American and Alan Booker and John Willis and Mike Shelby and Toolman Tim. Lots of really awesome sessions. We've got Evan Dixon. So check that out, guys. And we'll be back next Thursday at 7 p.m. with another lineup of I'm not sure what yet, but it'll be something fun. So thank you guys so much for making time to be on with me today. And I'll see you in person in about 6 weeks.